Thank you. Thank you. Let it play a little bit longer. Thank you very much. Welcome back, my fellow college football fans, fanatics, to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, the only channel where we honor, discuss, celebrate all things college football across the entire college football landscape. In other words, I got you covered from all angles, all sides, north to south, east to west, and everywhere in between. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. It's great to be back with you for another great episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Oh, thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you. I love you too. All right. So here I am, I'm telling you, here I'm wearing my tropical Iowa shirt today because it is hot. Here in the Midwest, it is blazing hot out there. Here in the Show Me State where I reside, it's currently 94 degrees. Air temp feels like 106. Woo! It is definitely the dog days of summer if I've ever known. But hey, college football is right around the corner. We got to get through these hot, humid days to feel the fall breeze and the sounds, the smells, the sights of our favorite sport, college football. All right, and what I got on tap for you today is I'm going to be sharing with you going into the 2025 college football season, the 5 head coaches who I believe are on the hottest of all hot seats. And I will also let you know if I think those coaches will either survive to coach another day or will be terminated and released either during the conclusion of the season or even during the 2025 college football season. And for some of you who watched last week's episode, and if you haven't, please do, because hey, I'm here for you. Help me help you. Last week's episode was my best bet win totals for the 2025 college football season. I informed you who to lay a little bit of money down on because, hey, I want to help you improve your current financial status and situation. I want you to enjoy that vacation either solo or with your family. I want you to buy that sports car or even buy that diamond ring for a special certain someone. All right, so please check it out. I know you will enjoy it. And hey, I will help you make your wallet or your purse a little fatter. But before I say anything else, I just want to say thank you for all that you have done for the channel. It has been an absolute success. I'm so looking forward to this, the 4th season of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. But none of this is possible without your support, your time, your involvement via your comments, spreading the word. So please, let's continue to get the word out there. I want to find more college football fans just like you. So please tell your friends, your fellow fans, your colleagues, coworkers, or your family members to check me out here in the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Please click that subscribe or notification button. That'll help me find more folks like you. And also, it'll remind you when I have a new weekly episode posted here for your viewing and listening pleasure here on YouTube. So please click that notification, subscribe, like, share, and I always ask that you comment. I want to hear from you, my fellow college football brothers and sisters. I promise you I will get back to each and every one of you much sooner than later via those comments because, hey, it is an absolute pleasure for me, your common average Joe, hell, maybe even below average Joe. I mean, come on, look at this monstrosity. To be here sharing my love and pleasure for all things college football with you on the weekly. So thank you for all that you have done, and I look forward to your further support and helping the channel grow. So please do what you can to give me a hand. All right? So let's go ahead and move into this week's episode. And I did mention last week, I was planning on sharing with you this week during this episode who coming into the 2025 college football season, in my opinion, is the most overrated team, but I just wasn't able to get around to doing that today. So that'll be the topic for next week's episode. Definitely want to check it out. as I will share with you who I believe definitely is the most overrated team heading into this coming season. Texas! Excuse me. Anyway, all right. So before I go ahead and give you my top 5 coaches on the hot seat entering this season, I want to share with you a couple of honorable mentions. These are coaches that definitely have a little bit of heat on them, maybe a little bit of sizzle, but I don't expect any of these coaches to be released or fired from their duties, but it wouldn't surprise me. But so here's the ones that are worth mentioning, but just missed my official top 5. Let's start off via conferences. Out of the Big Ten, Mike Locksley, the head coach of Maryland. I also think David Braun, the head football coach at Northwestern. Those are the coaches in the Big Ten that maybe pay a little bit of attention to. Now, shifting to the SEC, I think Mark Stoops there at Kentucky has a little bit of heat entering the season, as does Brian Kelly at LSU. I mean, only because of the transfer class that they have down there in Baton Rouge, but I expect a very good season from LSU and Coach Brian Kelly, but we'll have to wait and see. If they underperform again, going to be a little bit of noise to get him removed down there coaching the Tigers. And finally, in the SEC, I think Sam Pittman, head coach at Arkansas, the P-Soo-Wee at Arkansas, I think he's going to have a little bit of heat on him. Now, switching to the ACC, I think longtime Cal head football coach Justin Wilcox, I think he's going to have a little bit of potential pressure on him. He might be sweating just a little bit, as also is Brent Pry, the head coach at Virginia Tech. And last, but certainly not least, that's right, I'm going to go ahead and say, even though it's his first season, I think that the legendary NFL coach Bill Belichick, who is now the head coach on the sidelines at North Carolina, I think he's going to have a lot of pressure and heat on him, because if this ends up going 5-7, 4-8 or worse, there's going to be a lot of, what did we do? Was this the right move? What have we gotten ourselves into? And I think his girlfriend, his 24-year-old agent on his arm may want to try to maybe shift him out of town if there is that sort of chatter and banter at the end of the season. All right? So those are my coaches that made the honorable mention list. Let me know what you think about that list, please. Like, share, comment below, subscribe, click that notification button. So let's go ahead and move into my top 5 as far as coaches entering the season on the hottest of all, hot seats, just like outside. So I'm going to start off with number 5. Now, before I go ahead and unveil these to you, this is what I see happening. On this top 5 list, I wanted to make it very kind of well-rounded. So I do believe that 2 of the coaches on this list, that they and their teams will do enough to get them a little bit more time. I think their jobs will ultimately be safe. I think 2 of them will be the exact opposite. I think they will be dismissed and removed from their positions at their programs. And I do believe 1 of them is kind of a neutral. It really depends on what happens during this season. So going into it, I can't say that I believe this person is safer in a better spot or a worse spot than they are. It's really tough to know. All right? So that's how I'm going to lay this out to you. Let's go ahead and get this started. All right. So number 5 on my list, I'm going to go ahead with Oklahoma head football coach Brent Venables. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I think ultimately his job is going to be safe. I think he will earn an additional year, if not years. That's right. I said it. Plural, maybe even years. So this is why he comes into the season on the hot seat. He's entering his 4th season as the head football coach of the Sooners. His overall record is 22-17. So this is what has happened the last 3 years. He went 6-7 his first year, 10-3 his second, and 6-7 last season. But last season, if you recall, which I know you haven't forgotten because, hey, you are a fanatic just like myself, that last year was Oklahoma's first year in the mighty SEC conference. They did go 6-6 in the regular season, but lost that bowl game to Navy, the Middies. And I think big time that 6-6, that sixth win was basically what propelled them to bowl eligibility over Alabama, which then ultimately I think cost Alabama a chance to be a college football playoff participant. So that's where we are right now, entering his fourth season. But I think that Oklahoma just can't be snake bitten twice in a row. I mean, anything and everything that could have went wrong for them last year, their debut season in the SEC did. I mean, their offensive line can't be any worse than what it was. They gave up 50 sacks the entire season. That's hard to imagine, to fathom. They lost their top five wide receivers. Their top five wide receivers in the first third of the season. Those things can't happen again. All right. And plus, their schedule was very, very brutal. I mean, it's the exact same schedule this year, but I think what they added in the offseason, they upgraded at quarterback, running back. I think they're going to be in a good position. And like I said, I expect big things from the Sooners. All right. So this tough schedule does provide multiple chances for quality and statement wins for the Sooners. They are on the road. This schedule is daunting. They're on the road at Tennessee and at Alabama. They play their arch rival Texas at neutral site in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. And they are home against Michigan, a huge non-conference game week 2. They have Michigan, Auburn, Ole Miss, Missouri, and LSU down at home down there in Oklahoma, inside their stadium, Gaylord Stadium, I believe. So there's a lots of chances there. And I think 7 wins, 8 wins, even more, I think is possible. All right, so I think ultimately Coach Venables, he escapes that hot seat, at least for the time being. Let's go and move into number 4 on my list. Number 4 is the head coach of the Fighting Men of Troy. That's right, Lincoln Riley. And I think ultimately Lincoln Riley is going to maybe be slightly sweating at the end of the season, but he will be safe for now, all right? And I think here's the reason why. He has a huge buyout there at USC, and their expectations of him and their program have been elevated, as they should. I mean, USC, a historic and true blue blood. They have every bell and whistle available that any one of their Jimmies or Joes need. They have the alumni support via backing for NIL. And plus, they're right there in recruit-rich Southern California, all right? But it is time for Lincoln Riley to take a step forward, but I think ultimately he'll be given at least one more year. I think he'll be going into next year the coach on the hottest of all seats, going into the 26 college football season. But entering his 4th season, this is why he's on the hot seat entering the season. He's entering his 4th season as head football coach at USC. His record is 26-14 overall, so not bad. His first year he went 11-3, and second year went 8-5, so there was a step backwards. But what really is kind of a head scratcher there is both of his first 2 years he had former Heisman Trophy quarterback Caleb Williams with him, who now is slinging it for the Chicago Bears, the Bears. Little homage there to the late, great George Wendt, as Bob Jaworski and the Superfans there on the SNL old Saturday Night Live skit there. So it's kind of a head scratcher. They took that much of a step backwards. And last year, they went 7-6 overall, 6-6 in the regular season. But in case you've forgotten, which once again, I know you haven't, last year was USC's inaugural season as a member of the Big Ten Conference. So definitely has got to get a little bit better, all right? So I think there will be opportunities. Their schedule is difficult, but I think manageable. I mean, they open up, they have road contests against, who we got? They got road contests against Notre Dame, and this year for the battle for the jeweled shillelagh. They're at a much improved Nebraska. They're at a Illinois team that a lot of people have as a dark horse college football playoff caliber team, and they're also up in Eugene to take on last year's Big Ten champion, the Oregon Ducks, who were in last year's college football playoff. So it is a tough road schedule for them, but they also play at Purdue, I believe. That's going to be fine. They do have home games against Michigan, Iowa, and their rival, the Battle for Los Angeles, the UCLA Bruins. And also they got Northwestern. I believe Maryland's on their schedule as well at home. So I think that will ultimately save his job for at least one more season. So Lincoln Riley, you can go ahead and just deep breath, exhale for now. All right, so those are my two coaches that I believe will make it out of this season, still coaching their programs. Now let's move on to the coach that I believe is neutral, to where this one is really teetering, this really hangs in the balance here. And number 3 is the head football coach of War Eagle, the Auburn Tigers, that's Hugh Freeze. And this is kind of a tough one for me, because I am a Hugh Freeze fan, but he's entering his 3rd season, all right, there as the head coach of the Tigers. His overall record is 11-13. Youch. His first year, they went 6-7. Last year, they went, 5-7. So a losing season last year. But the thing that really jumps out, all right, especially if you're a Tigers fan and knowing how ruthless, hardcore, and passionate SEC football fans are, especially Auburn fans. Josh, I'm looking at you. A little shout out there to my coworker there who's an Auburn fan, and Sam also, another guy I work with who roots for War Eagle down there on the plains, is that under his watch, Hugh Freeze, his record in the SEC in 2 seasons is 5-11. It's got to get better than that, okay? And I think this team will be better this season, but he really needs to have more breaks and wins go his way. And the schedule, it's going to be a little bit difficult, all right? And the one thing, too, they've had some pretty bad non-con losses the last 2 seasons. Last year, they lost at home against California, who was really, really just average at best. But his first year, they lost against the New Mexico State Aggies. Yeah, not the A&M Aggies, but the Aggies of New Mexico State. And a certain quarterback you might be familiar with, a cat by the name of Diego Pavia, who's now the stud playmaking quarterback at Vanderbilt. So you've got to avoid that kind of a non-con loss this year. But going back to their schedule, and I really think it comes down to their overall record and really what happens, what does their performance look like, and their showing against their arch rival Alabama in this year's Iron Bowl, the weekend after Thanksgiving, because that game this year is down on the plains inside Jordan-Hare Stadium. All right. So the schedule for Hugh Freeze's Tigers this season, they are on the road. They open up Friday night, week 1, at Baylor against a fellow Power 4 conference team, and a Baylor team that I think is going to be really good. I'm really bullish on them. It's a tough spot. It's a really tough out for a first opening week game for both Auburn and Baylor. But Baylor, one of the hottest teams in the nation at the end of last season, they won their last 6 games. They have a ton of production and starters back. That's going to be a tough game for Auburn out of the gate. And they're also on the road at Oklahoma and at Texas A&M. But they do have home games against Georgia, Missouri, and the aforementioned Alabama Crimson Tide. So that's what I think it really comes down to, is what's their record and how do they look on the field against Alabama and second-year coach Kalen DeBoer, who I don't think is on the hot seat at all. I think that's just a lot of hot air. I don't believe that. But depending on the outcome of that game, Kalen DeBoer could find himself on this same list going into the 2026 college football season. So if I had to guess right now, I think he probably, I'm going to say 51-49 as far as percentage. he doesn't return as the Auburn head coach, but he may. So we have to just wait and see what plays out with Hugh Freeze down there in Auburn on the Plains. So please let me know what you think about these top three. What do you think about my hot takes about Brent Venables, Lincoln Riley, and Hugh Freeze? Let me know. Comment below. Can't wait to hear from you. So now let's move into the two coaches that I think will be dismissed either at the end of the season or even during the season. And we've seen the uptick of that a lot the last 3 to 4 seasons. Coaches aren't even being given the benefit of the doubt to finish up a season anymore. All right? So let's move into number 2 on my list. I'm looking down there in Starkville. That's right. I'm talking about the head coach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Jeff Lebby. I think Coach Lebby, you must win now. I believe he is playing for his job. And here's what breaks it down. This is why he finds himself on this list, even though this is only his second season. He's only completed 1 season as the head coach down there in Starkville, but this is how last season went. They went 2-10 overall. Ouch. And they put up an absolute donut, 0-0-8 against SEC opponents. Double ouch right there. Ouch again. All right, so got shut out in SEC play, and they also lost 2 non-conference games. They did lose on the road in the desert in Tempe against a team that had a pretty good season last year. I'm talking about the Arizona State Sun Devils. So ultimately, that was not a bad loss. But at the time, it looked a little bit worse than what it was, because if you recall, Arizona State was picked to finish last year in the Big 12, but ended up winning the conference and advancing to the college football playoff. So this year, they host Arizona State. So maybe they can get a little bit of revenge. That would go a long way towards Coach Lebby being retained there at Mississippi State. But also last year, they lost at home to the Toledo Rockets of the MAC conference. Now, yes, MAC teams normally are pretty solid, but if you're an SEC school, you don't lose to a MAC team at home, all right? So that definitely did put the pressure, and that heat did dial up a little bit there last year with losing those 2 non-con games, as long with going winless in SEC play. All right. So how can things get any worse, right? That's what you ask, but I just think Coach Lebby is just in over his head down there at Starkville. I just think it is. And I think we're looking potentially at Zach Arnett 2.0, which, if you remember Zach Arnett, he was the coach that Coach Lebby replaced there at Mississippi State. He was only given 1 full year. He was named the interim when Coach Mike Leach tragically passed away suddenly. So if they didn't give Zach Arnett a chance, they're definitely not going to give Coach Lebby a second chance either. But then again, the schedule, it also compounds that. I mean, listen to what they're looking at, an absolute uphill climb and battle for the Bulldogs this year. They have games on the road at Texas A&M and at Missouri. Home games, mentioned they do play Arizona State, who a lot of people are picking to repeat as the Big 12 champions. They also have at home Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, and Ole Miss. I just think that's too much. I think there is multiple opportunities for quality and statement wins. It's just too much of a daunting task. And I do believe he will be out at the end of the season. So sayonara. Sorry, Coach Lebby, but like Heidi Klum said, or does say in Project Runway, you're out. All right? So let me know what you think about Jeff Lebby being number 2 on my hottest of hot seats list entering the 25 college football season. So now, before I raise the curtain on the number 1, this coach finds himself on the hottest of all hot seats. I mean, right now, that water is boiling. All right, he's basically just being kind of tethered out there like a lobster. All right, I'm moving into number 1. Let me know what you think about this hot take. But it's here In my conference, in the Big Ten Conference, I'm looking at the head football coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, Luke Fickell. All right. Things have just not worked out up there in Madtown for Luke Fickell since he arrived. All right. Luke Fickell is entering his third season as the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. Overall, his record is 12-13. This is what's been trending the last few years. His first year, they went 7-6. Last year, they dropped to 5-7. And that ended up leading, that ended up being Wisconsin's, a little tongue-tied there. I do my own stunts here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. No edits, no replays, no reshoots. I ain't got time for that. This is a hobby after all. I'm not getting paid for this. This is purely fun. But last year going 5-7, that was Wisconsin's first losing season, their first losing campaign since 2001. All right. So I think Luke Fickell, to me, just pack your bags because I think you're dead man walking. All right. He was hired. He promised to bring a revamped, brand spanking new offensive identity to Wisconsin. We all know who they were, with Coach Paul Chryst, Coach Brett Bielema, and before him, the Hall of Fame legendary coach of Wisconsin there, Coach Barry Alvarez. So it was ground and pound. Let's run the ball, strong depth on the offensive line, defensive line. But he promised to bring in this air raid offense to totally switch their offensive identity, do a complete 180, completely redesigned. He promised to bring excitement, fast-paced, air-it-out type offense. But like the current SpaceX rocket results, it just can't and hasn't been able to take off and fly. It just has absolutely fumed and burned out up there in Madison, and I expect the same this season. It just hasn't worked out, and it's not going to work out. Now, to make things even worse, Wisconsin has easily the most difficult schedule in the Big Ten Conference, but maybe even the most difficult schedule in the entire country, all right? But unlike Oklahoma and Coach Brent Venables, who I believe Oklahoma has the toughest schedule in the SEC, I just don't see Wisconsin being able to win enough to give him another opportunity as their head coach. I think even 8 wins, maybe even 9, that's not going to suffice the upper echelon, the fans and the alumni base up there in Wisconsin, especially because recently the man that he replaced, Coach Paul Chryst, had things cooking up there in Wisconsin. Every year they would win 8-9 games, and he was dismissed during the season. So I definitely think this is Paul Chryst 2.0 for Luke Fickell. Now, getting back to that daunting schedule, just listen to this for yourself and try. Please, someone try via those comments, make an argument, call me crazy, tell me I'm out of my tree. Somebody please try to make an argument for why you think Luke Fickell will be back. Listen to this schedule, all right? They, on the road, they only play at Alabama in non-conference if things aren't bad enough for their Big Ten Conference schedule. So they're at Alabama, at Michigan, at Oregon, and also at Indiana. So those two teams both made the college football playoff last season. They do have home games against Iowa, but also against Ohio State. Last year's defending national championship team, by the way. They also have Illinois at home. It's just too much to ask. I just cannot see them getting it done to retain Coach Luke Fickell up there in Madison. All right. And it's really a disappointment for me. I did not see this coming at all. Kind of my final comment about this. When he was hired seasons ago, he was hired along with Coach Matt Rule there at Nebraska. I thought they both were solid hires, but I thought ultimately Luke Fickell would be the best of the two, and that has been absolutely false. Not saying that Coach Matt Rule has absolutely killed it at Nebraska, but definitely has had much better results, and recruiting and other outcomes have been much more favorable than Luke Fickell at Wisconsin. All right, so that's it for today. Please get involved. Comment below. I want to hear good, the bad, and the ugly from you, all of my college football fans out there. Please get involved. Light up that comment section below. Thank you for your continued time, attention, all of your support. So a like, a share, a subscription, click that notification. What do they say, the kids these days? Smash that notification button. Go ahead and do that to help the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog continue to grow and be the success it is. All thanks to you. All right, that's today's episode, everybody. I will be back next week for the aforementioned episode I'm going to unveil to you, in my personal opinion and my estimate, who I believe the most overrated team is going into the 2025 college football season. So until then, enjoy the rest of your work week. Have a great upcoming weekend. Be safe, be responsible, peace, prosperity, and as always, go Hawks, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.